Good morning, Commanders. How are y'all doing today? Hope you're having a fantastic day. Hoping that most of you, or those who decided to anyways, were unable to, or were able to unlock Archer. I think he's going to be a fantastic officer that will really help your gameplay down the road. I know that if you're a free-to-play player, that Archer may not seem as applicable because you don't have the new ship yet. But I still think he has his places, his place as far as using him in your grind, even if it's the regular Xindi grind. And I'll talk about that in a little bit here. So the purpose of this video, though, is to kind of give you some insight as I finally been able to run a few test runs with one token a day I was able to use. So once again, difficult compared to last month where it wasn't token systems for the regular reptilian hostiles. I can just do a lot of testing that way. So anyways, I want to jump into that. But if you're one of the many who, you're either new or you've been watching my content for a while and haven't subscribed, please remember to do that. It's a big help to me and helps me grow this channel. We're getting really close to the 1,000 subscribers. So a big shout out and a thank you to everyone that has subscribed. But don't forget to hit that like button and the bell notification if you want to be kept in the loop for future content as I release it. So try to come out with content that's helpful as much as possible. So let's talk about it. Specifically, I'm going to focus first on the Xindi Aquatics, talk about my testing I did there. As a reminder, when you go into these systems, you're going to have two hostiles. You're going to have the interceptors, which largely are energy based. They do have kinetic and energy weapons. They just don't hit as hard as the regular reptilian. As far as like those have a lot of kinetic weapons that do some good kinetic damage. So crew a little bit differently in my opinion for those. As far as the aquatics go, you'll have those interceptors that primarily you want to crew with energy, some type of energy reduction, in my opinion, to get the most out of it. In the first round, they have a weapon that shoots a critical energy weapon. Trying to remember off top of my head, I saw anywhere from like 2 to 4 million, depending upon the crew that I use, prior to mitigation. So I had one that I had significant damage where I took like 800,000 whole health each time. So really depends on what you're trying to do. The battleships is the second ship type in the aquatic system. They have 10 times the loot, but there's a 30% start at the beginning of combat, according to STFC.space. Where that math holds out or not, we'll leave it up to you all to decide. Is that Scopely's math? But anyways, 30% chance for a go-home cannon to shoot and take you home. So is it worth the risk-reward? That's up to you. Personally, I like the idea of hitting mostly the interceptors. That's why I focus my testing on that. Largely hitting the interceptors in the last one or two, trying to hit the battleship, so you at least have a chance for a decent amount of loot. And if you get lucky, you get that 10 times the loot. So let me pull up my testing. So here's Spock's Club, and let me walk you through the first three I ran were crews that I was just kind of trying to test and play with, because at that time I had not unlocked Archer. I unlocked Trip Tucker last month. So we'll talk about those two, and you can see these here. And I'm going to also, because I've had requests in the past, and I don't always remember. If I do forget, feel free to hit me up in Discord. Once again, I always put the link in the description below. So you can join Discord if you haven't and send me a message there and ask for it, and I'm happy to do that. But I'm going to take some screenshots as well for those who don't want to go into Spock's Club and they just want to go into Discord to see it. I'll take some screenshots of this so you can see the results and have that recorded for future reference, because if you don't have the NX01, it may not be as applicable to you right now, but it will be helpful down the road. So the first crew here was Pike, Chen, Talon. I ran that because I knew that the battleships were largely kinetic based, but that the interceptors were more energy based, and so I wanted to have both Chen and Talon there to see if I could hit both. And I thought, let's just have a crew that will maybe do both. And I think that spawned from when I was hitting the regular Reptilians. I hit with Pike, Talon, and Kath, because they hit quite hard with the kinetic weapons. I didn't find in my testing that Pike, Moreau, Talon, because my Talon has a higher percentage, I believe, but I didn't find that was more effective than saying Pike, Talon, Kath. So anyways, that was this crew. Maybe not the best, but it did give me the options to hit both ships in a way, even though it wasn't as effective maybe as having just Pike, Moreau, Talon. But here's the results here. Got about 100,000, could get about 100,000 loot of the new loot here, and then the Xindi scraps there, 1,600. The next one I wanted to try was, okay, I told myself, what if I was doing a loot crew and I knew they were energy based? So I thought, okay, we'll do a loot crew, less hits. As you can see, it goes down from 20 to 13. You lose about 7 hostile kills per hull there. Drops in the loot, 87,000. So you're hitting less, it'll go quicker, but you don't get as much. And so I'm going to scrap this one because we only have 1 token a day currently, and it takes a little while to get the token for the refit. I've been doing maxing those claims, even though it's taken the epic credits for that, because I figure it's worth the cost. If you haven't unlocked the refinery, you won't know what I'm talking about exactly, but you can turn in epic credits to get that refit. So that's what I'm working on. I think that'll be huge to have 2 runs a day. This third one was the best of the 3, where we had about 100 and almost 130,000 of the new loot. Like I said, largely energy based. There are some kinetic weapons, but for the most part, that big gun, it's not a go home cannon, but that big gun, energy gun that fires in that first round, the effect of Pike, Moreau, Chen. For those who don't know, here is something I put in my Discord. Great graphic. Give RevDuce full credit for this. These officers have been around for a while, and I think the veteran players will know this very well. But as a visual, just to show all the new players how the math works, essentially Pike, Moreau, Chen, because of the synergy with Moreau, Chen, and when you have a maxed officer Chen, you get 90% energy damage reduction. So fantastic crew right there. Let me go back here. So that's why we get so much more loot. So I would say if you haven't unlocked Archer, by the time that you get the ship and you want to run crews, I would highly, highly, highly recommend Pike, Moreau, Chen as your best option for hitting the interceptors, the aquatics. Okay. And given the fact that you can basically get nothing if you hit just the battleships because of that 30% chance, which kind of feel like more than 30%. My personal thought is that you're probably going to want to take this in there. You're going to want to hit the interceptors. And then even though the battleships are more kinetic based, you'll just kind of get used to about how much hull you need to attack 1 or 2 of them. Probably 1 in my opinion. The advantage of hitting them is you'll get these rare tokens if you can defeat 1, and you can use that for an extra refine in the NX01 refinery, which will give you extra credits and such. So definitely worth hitting, but I don't think you want to risk just hitting those because you'll get so much less loot that way. Okay, so the next 2 options here, if you do have Archer, I put this crew on first with Talon, because my thought was, well, the battleships are kinetic, so I want to be able to hit those, but that 30% or whatever percent it is for the go home cannon that they fire, if that does fire, you get nothing. So in my opinion, because there's such a huge difference from the 123 to actually putting Chen on the ship, even though you don't have synergy from like Pike, you're getting the huge damage increase between Archer and Trip. And Trip does have that ability where he reduces critical damage. Let's go into game. I'll just show it for the record. You can pull it up yourself, I'm sure, but let's just have a quick look. And I think that this ability is going to be really impactful later on as we're able to tier him. And one reason why I got the treasury this month is it only had 20 shards, but I thought that's one step closer to the next tier. So no chain of command, no captain's ability, but the officer ability is helpful when you take damage from a hostile or another player. We're not talking PvP today, but he decreases the opponent's critical damage by 50% for 2 rounds. So not only are you seeing a damage reduction from trip, he's going to reduce damage that's incoming from that critical shot, but Chen also is going to reduce the damage as well. So those two really do help. So ultimately, what are my recommendations? My recommendations are to go into the token system, use Pike, Moreau, Chen. If you don't have Archer, if you do have Archer, I would go with Archer, Trip, and Chen. And I think just for those who are curious, the only officers I put below deck, because I only have a tier 1 ship right now. I think I have the hull plating and the impulse speed. And I do have tier 4 of the critical floor, so that's helpful. I can't put a Hue below decks yet, but I did put Grush down there just to kind of help me meet my ship stats. And I think I just put another officer like Tendi probably for hull health, but trying to max those. Once we're able to get higher, that will higher on having more higher level tier ship, we'll be able to have more expansion slots down below, be able to do some more things with it. We might be able to put a mitigation officer below deck like Paris. So just some different things that we can try. But I wanted to show this to you. Hopefully that's helpful. I have tried, I promise to talk about this a little bit too. I have tried some of these crews on the Reptilians. The problem is that they still hit pretty hard. They're not just, say, energy based. They are mostly kinetic based. And so I feel like if you're trying to farm the Reptilians quickly, for example, I have a Vorcha, which is a G5 ship, G5 uncommon battleship, and so I'm hitting the explorers. So I'll typically take that with Pike, Talon, Calf. And then secondly, I would run like a loot crew on another G5 ship, the Corvus that I have. But you could run, if you're trying to just, knock this out quickly, you could take, if you have 2 strong ships, that is, just giving options because some people do, you could take Pike, Talon, Calf on one, and then you could run a loot crew like Picard, Data, and 5 of 11. You could, that's what I'm doing right now. And if you have Archer, what you can do is you can substitute, if you're just trying to do it quickly, you can substitute the Pike crew with Archer. Maybe do like a Archer, Trip, Talon, or something like that. So you still get the damage reduction, but you're getting the huge boost to loot from those two. So just an option, things to think about. I think it depends on the strength of your ship. They may be good options. Right now, I'm kind of struggling to hit higher. I need to hit my higher, like level 51s for my turn-ins, but my Vorcha isn't quite strong enough, and I have to decide if I want to spend the rare or to tier the Vorcha and kind of trying to put it off because of significant cost to get to my next ops where I can build a G5 rare ship. So I'm kind of playing with that idea and figuring out what I want to do. So that's where I'm at. I think that the Aquatics is still going to be a pain in the butt, and you don't get a huge amount of like loot from those compared to when you get the refinery for the NX-01. So I won't kill myself over those, but it's probably something you just want to consider if you're still trying to max pull those for the rep, for example. So hopefully this information is helpful. I think we're all still kind of struggling with this loop if you are doing the loop. As far as doing your turn-ins, if you're trying to do the double turn-in, the single isn't quite as bad, I think. But having Archer And knowing this now, hopefully this is helpful, will help you kind of craft your own crews. Once again, as I've done this testing, my intention is these are the best crews that I have found. I'm happy to test others if you come up with the crew and you send it to me, and it makes sense. I'm willing to try it and see what works. But so far, this is the best thing I've been able to craft and come up with for the aquatics. Trying to make the grind when you do go into those token systems be just as efficient as you possibly can, so you can get your single and double turn-ins, and max or at least level this ship to a point that it's useful. Because right now it's kind of weak, and it probably will be for a while. But it's especially a ship that's, I think, just designed for the Xindi Aquatics in this case. So, anyways, that's it for today. I hope this is helpful. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the description below, or join the Discord as well. You can send me questions there where I'll be posting some of this, but hopefully this is helpful either now if you have the NX01 or in the future when you unlock it, so you can be as efficient as possible. Anyways, thanks so much and have a good day.